All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would sit down, do a Q&A for you guys and gals on current events. So I thought it was kind of amusing. Someone messaged me. It was the same guy. I haven't really been following the mayor thing in New York City. Don't really know, don't really care. I had someone ask me, what do you think about this guy? And they dropped his name. I'm like, I don't know anything about it. Briefly did some research, though, because it turns out it's that same guy who failed the 135 bench press at some event, some charity event a month or two ago. It was a politician in New York City. I remember that. I had no clue who he was, never heard of him. I saw a bunch of scuttlebutt about this guy getting stapled under a 135 bench. And ooh, that's embarrassing. And apparently that was thrown at him laughing in a campaign. But, I've got to ask this question. Apparently people are saying he identifies whatever a democratic socialist. So basically, the guy's a communist who can't bench press 135. I don't know what else to say about this. We need to have strength standards for young men in politics, though. I mean, let's set aside whatever policies the guy has. I already just him using that term alone. It's like, I'm not interested in what he has to say. Wouldn't be interested in voting for him. I don't care for that sort of ideology, and I don't ascribe to an entire specific ideology. I don't ascribe to any particular party, even though I do vote a certain way. I think both parties have problems, right? I think both parties have problems. I think the far left and the far right both have major problems, and I don't necessarily identify with either of those extremes these days. So let me set that aside. I am very pro Second Amendment, though. Most people know that. Try to have some common sense with every individual issue. Take each issue, and instead of jumping to someone's ideology, why don't you just look at each one and weigh it out in its own merit with some critical thinking, right? And think about best interest of society, best interest of our country, best interest of humanity, looking at individual issues. And your opinions you're allowed to change your mind on opinions. That's how it works. Well, let's come over to this point. This guy failed a 135 bench press, was challenged to it and went for it and failed it on. It's like, bro, you just know. Like that already makes him look weak. So that was just the amusing thing. The reason I brought this up is only really because this is a guy who failed a very, very minor test of strength on camera not long ago. Again, we should be talking about physical fitness in this country. We need strong leaders. Like someone said, hey, you should coach Trump. Hey, if Trump would let me coach him, I would totally coach him. We'd get him off all that McDonald's, get him under a barbell, right? Get him strong and fit. Absolutely. But I think leaders should be leading by example. We have an obesity epidemic. We have a health epidemic. We have problems in this country. We should be getting fitter, But yeah, that's just in bad form to get up and know you're going to fail that and to do it on camera. It's like, bro, just stop. Maybe go get to the gym, especially with a campaign coming. But the guy apparently got elected, and people are saying he's a communist. And what I'm reading, I don't know much about his policies, but he identified by the word as a democratic socialist, which to me screams he's a communist. And I made a little post joking about it, and someone already chimed in. Let's see. Right? And right. Let's see. So much bigoted lying to keep this failing capitalist system for the top one. Now, dude, I think that we need capitalism. Like communism has ever worked out. It absolutely hasn't. Oh man. Right. Boy, that created a stir over there. So we'll see what people say in here. But in any event, you guys click that like button. Let's get some Q&A. Let's get some topics going. I said what I had to say on the fact that some not old enough to justify being that weak. Not some elderly dude. Fix your strength. All right. Irrespective of what somebody's politics are, this is just ridiculous. There should be our minimums. Like a politician should be forced to bench at least 135 as a man and squat at least 225. They don't need to reach the dad bod strength standard. It would be nice if they did, though. But at least be in shape, people. Come on. Set an example. We are as a society and as a nation out of shape. All right, guys, well, let's hit that like button. I got the other stuff on. Did we pin that? We got to pin that. So let me start a community tab post in. So we'll see if we get a few more people in here. And, yeah. All right. That'll usually get some people. But the alerts have been going out. People said they've been getting notifications again. So I think we're doing that correctly. But the poor man's Jim down here says, screw the haters. That's right, man. Screw the haters. Screw the haters. Let's go to your channel. What's your channel about, bro? And okay. All right. You had your channel a while. Okay, you got some homemade gym stuff. Cool, man. Dude, looks like, so checking your channel out. Let's see, you got a channel here, bro. I'm a poor man's gym. It looks like, man, you trained at home and doing what you can with what you got. You got to respect that. You know, you got to respect that. So we got first guy commenting here. Dude's got a very minimalist home gym, but he's got dumbbells. Looks like he does weighted buckets, makes it work with what he has. Hey, man. Sometimes you got to do less with more. It's all good, man. At least you're getting it done. I'll drink my water to that. All right. Coffee chat was lively this morning. Seems like a little slower than midday and this afternoon. This is a little early, though. People may not. I've been doing these after 3. Some of my plans are getting reshuffled around a little bit this afternoon. I thought I have time to get in here. I may have to end this on short notice. I may not. But I thought I still have time to get another one of these in. So we're going to do that, guys. But we are definitely having a lack of comments here so far. We're getting likes. We're getting a bunch of likes, but we're not getting comments. So what's up, guys? Talk to me. We had a good workout today. You guys saw it. Of course, I failed the deadlift, but all the other stuff was good. I missed a deadlift today. How rare does that happen? I left it in. I did a weight that I did a double the other day. My deadlift has been going up, but I came in and I failed a deadlift, right? I failed a deadlift and I left it in. Do you know why? Because I could have just been like, guys, I just wasn't feeling like deadlifting today, and I just didn't deadlift. Right? I could have done that, but no, we keep it real. I missed a 550 of all things. Has to do with the reverse hyper on the off base. Well, I pushed that set really, really far. I took my normal work weight and I ground out like a 50 plus rep set, but I want to get my low back stronger. And I tend to agree there's definitely going to be a little fatigue from doing the reverse hypers in between. But still, we don't make excuses. We get in and get it done. I feel like I need those reverse hypers. I feel like I could benefit from them. But I do think it may be a case of I don't need to do multiple sets of them. All right. Stacy Smith says, Jason, any specific advice on women's bodybuilding? Going to do my first show soon. I'm not a bodybuilding coach. However, Stacy, I do have multiple friends who do coach at a pretty serious level women's bodybuilding. My advice to you would be look into a good coach. If you're planning on doing one, I can refer you to a coach, Stacy. So if you message me on social media and you're needing an actual coach for women's bodybuilding, I don't mind giving you a referral for a coach. All right, but it's not my forte. I'm certainly don't coach it personally in terms of a competitiveness. I can do off season, but I can't prep you for a bodybuilding show. What I will say is be careful of your health. My advice is with bodybuilding in general, I don't always hold a fond view of bodybuilding, meaning the competition itself, because of the risk to the health, to the risk to your health. So all I would ask is, try to take care of your health with all of it. You only get one body, right? Try to do your best to take care of it, mitigate your risks. Any other advice for women's training? I'll tell you what one of the guys I know who coaches a lot of natural pro card holders. in women's bodybuilding, every division. I'll kind of tell you what advice he gives. He's like, just get really strong and build everything. Don't worry. He says, don't worry about weak points. Don't worry about those things. Train everything even. Just get as jacked as you possibly can as your frame and genetics allow for. Don't try to specialize in weak points. Just get big and then diet down. And he's like, because your genetics will determine what division you compete in. And so trying to continually fix weak points that you're seeing as a weak point for your division, he's like, it's going to lead to you not winning. It's going to lead to worse placings. You need to just build everything and let your structure determine what division you're most competitive in. I've seen him say and give this advice, and I think it's pretty sound advice, given that he's been coaching very successfully women's bodybuilders in every division for 20 years. He probably knows what he's talking about with that. So that's something that's worth reiterating there. But outside of that, remember, women don't need to fundamentally train different than men. You really don't, especially not if your goal is to bodybuild. You don't have the same concerns as some women. Oh, I don't want my arms to get too big. Stuff like that. That's going to be a non-issue for you. So in that case, you just train like you're a man. No different, in terms of the training specificity. Not saying there's no difference between men and women, obviously. James, is it better for someone that has to do more volume, or can they lower volume to absolute failure? 6-8 says still make the same gains. Better is a relative term. The point with more enhancement, keep in mind, when you say enhanced, that's not a pass-fail. Right? Guys think natural and enhanced instead of degrees of enhancement. So think of it in terms of scaling with the doses and total amount and types of drugs that you are stacking in. The more enhanced you are, the more you can benefit hypothetically from more volume, or at least tolerate more volume, right? But to say that you're automatically going to be better, no. Dorian Yates didn't do super high volume, and he won the Mr. Olympia numerous times. Right? Won it numerous times. So, Stacy, we don't know if your face is decent when we go look. Go to the channel. No. So you just made a new account for that. Of course, you already know that your face is decent. But, So why do you say the guy's a good person, Mamdani? From what I'm seeing, he appears to be a communist. Right? All right. Well, it sounds like he needs to work on his bench press. Now, maybe if he got stronger, he wouldn't hold communist views. Build some confidence under the barbell. Self-empowerment. Well, I don't know much about his politics, but I know that I saw the post today where in his own words, he described himself as one. That's all that I need to know about him, that he said he was a democratic socialist. Well, that's kind of all we need to know. I'm not going to be interested in his politics based upon that. Keyword, yeah, that's a keyword for a communist. It really is. That's what he's admitting to, which we know is a failed system, repeatedly failed system that has caused enormous amounts of death and suffering. Keep in mind, I don't fully ascribe to any one party personally. Like, I'm not a hardliner for any party, but we have to have some common sense with things. Like, I don't like the extremes on either side. And I think that's a fair position for me to take. But the far left has pushed all of us who weren't far left over to the right. There's a reason these elections are going the way they are. There's a reason blue is only winning in little small dense population centers. The left has pushed all the rest of us the other direction, with their own extreme politics. He thinks capitalism is theft. He's a common taxation is theft. Right? No, the Dems have gone pretty far left, dude, with craziness with their extremity. No. And the current GOP really isn't even that far right. They're really not, dudes. Not by and large, not the majority of them. Now, you got to look at historic trends. Like, under the current trends in the U.S., as far as the left would be concerned, Bill Clinton would be considered far right today. Bill Clinton was a liberal hero. Right? The far right today is what Democrats were in the 80s and 90s. Go look at Bill Clinton's policies and things that he enacted. If you take away his gun control stuff, he would look like a current GOP, right? And he's right. You've seen this shift towards the far left. That's exactly what's happening. If you really want to talk politics. No, they haven't. We're the universal health care. Those are far, far left stuff. That is far left communist ideals. Universal basic income. What do you mean, steal from the taxpayer to give people money who don't work? Are you serious? Yeah. Yeah, you're talking UBI is pure communism. Like, that's insane. I'm tired of being taxed so hard. I want a party that lowers my taxes. That's what I want. They would get my vote, because both parties tax way too high in the U.S. You're just simply wanting to put more burden on the taxpayer. I'm not interested in more tax burden. I want less taxes. So how are you going to pay for this? No, I haven't watched it. I don't really care, to be honest. Like, I don't stand around watching vegan gains. Like, so I haven't seen the video. So, and people point that out. So he's good at one lift. Okay, credit. He's good at the bench. Nothing wrong with that. What's his other lifts? Why doesn't he train his legs? Why does he only deadlift 315 for a few reps? Dude's over here benching more than he deadlifts. I don't know what I'm supposed to say about that. I'm trying to be polite about a guy who's essentially made nothing but endless attacks towards me and can't squat or deadlift. Just saying, dude. Just saying. I mean, I'll give credit where credit is due for the bench, man. I mean, you can't hate on a 410 bench. I haven't seen it. I don't know if it was a legit or not. I'm assuming no elbow wraps and a pause. If he's got bare skin on the elbows and it's paused, I'll give nothing but credit for that one. I haven't seen it yet. Bunch of these guys who people always try to point out back over to me, they be bouncing the bar and have their elbows all wrapped up. It's like, yeah, that doesn't count, guys. That's not a valid bench press. So I don't know if he's doing that or not. I haven't seen it. But now, if it's a legit bench, and more credit where credit is due, but let's see the other lifts now. Okay, good. You did good there. Let's see the other stuff. To be fair, he's very tall and he may have screwed his legs up. So, yeah. So what? I met a dude at a powerlifting meet was showing me the scar where in an armed robbery and he shot back. He got shot through the leg. He had a scar, big old scar right in the middle of his quad, and it went all the way through his adductor and exited out of the back. Still over here squatting in the 400s. He's an older dude in his 40s. He was squatting over 400 with a bullet hole through his leg. What are we talking about? Screwed up his leg. I've seen a dude with a missing leg squat 400 pounds before with a prosthetic leg on the other side. I'm not saying the guy needs to squat 500 pounds or even 400, but yeah, Joe says tall is not an excuse. I'm 6'3" and can squat low fives. So go fix it. I'm not allowed to make excuses. Every time I say something like, oh, I've come back from being bedbound and 100% disabled and rebuilt myself. Oh, I'm 48 years old. Yet I do what I do. And every time I use those lines, I get told by haters I'm making excuses. I'm making a cop-out for why I don't squat 700 pounds. So fine, let's hold him to the same standards, man. It's excuses, man. So I've had to rebuild from nothing and learn to walk again. And I'm doing what I do at about to turn 49. Next month I turn 49. I do what I do. I'm doing pretty decent. So, let's come over and say, okay, what motorcycle accident? Well, fix it, train. So squat with one leg. There's that one-legged guy with a prosthetic is squatting pretty respectable numbers. So why can't he deadlift? Seen a man with one leg deadlift 700 pounds. Okay, so you have a slightly bad knee. We'll fix it. I'm having dealing with some scheduling conflicts with the runs and other stuff. Like I've had things get in the way. I'm going to keep running. No, I'm not. I don't do any training and not document it. So Alan, let me be clear. If you don't see it on Strava, I didn't run. Now I did have one of them where I did have an issue the other day because we had no internet. So outside of that, I took a very just brief little goofy run, nothing serious, but like not even worth logging, but I couldn't log any of it because I couldn't get a signal because the whole neighborhood was on the cellular towers. But otherwise, no, and it wasn't worth documenting. But yeah, I'll try to get one in. I'm not going to have time tomorrow because I have a paid call. So if I'm going to do, I got to pick between GPP and running, and I'm going to pick GPP. I may try to get a Saturday morning run in though. So, but I'm definitely just prioritizing GPP, like either way. All right, the GPP gave me pretty good run times as soon as it took me no time to start running again. A week or two, I was doing really well after 20 years off. So keep the GPP up and I'll get some runs in coming up here soon. All right, we'll get them in. But generally speaking, no, if I'm not doing training, if you're not seeing any documentation anywhere online, we're probably not doing it. But you guys already know that. Yeah. You don't even have to do it 4 times a week. To be fair, 2 times a week, we'll still do it. People forget how little training you need to maintain certain things. They really do. We're not talking about progressing, we're talking about just maintaining stuff. You'd be shocked. You'd be really shocked. But I'm sure because there hasn't been much, there'll be haters everywhere. Oh, Blaha has hardly been running again lately. He's fallen, even though I'm doing all this other training. People will find a reason to hate. He's fallen off. I don't even know who Zohran, but its fair strength level should be determined by how good of a major someone is. Well, it says a lot about them, though, man. As a leader, he described himself as a self-described democratic socialist. So we also know this about him. I don't know really much about him either. Almost nothing, really. I don't know. I think this whole combination is not good. But we can stir the pot with it a little bit. I mean, if he was an old guy, I could give him a bad, but he's not. He didn't look that old. Like, how old is the guy? Hold up, let's go see. What is this guy's age? I don't think he's that old. He's 34 years old. The brother is 34 years old. Got stapled under 135 on camera at a charity. Brah. No, he's 34, dude. He's 34. Just saying. I am at work. Well, hello, hi. I'm glad that you are at work. So you're watching Coach Blaha on the clock. You're getting paid to watch me right now. That's what you're saying. All right. Should have your boss, have all your coworkers start watching me too. Have them boot up their devices and get everybody and get the whole team in. And have them hit that like button. Why aren't you guys hitting that like button? There's like 10 people typing and there's 4 likes. There we go. Hit that like button. Get those likes up, guys. Coachino needs you. Only you can hit the like button. All right. There we go. Now they're coming up. Yeah, this is going to be slower. Some of these afternoons have really popped off. This one's just coming in a little slow. I wonder what's up. Let's see. I'm trying to check the others. Yesterday did decent. Probably doesn't help when I do the midday one. So I'm thinking tomorrow I might do a really, really long afternoon one. I got to do a call here tonight, so I don't know that I want to sit in here a super long time today. I thought, what the heck? We'll get some views, get some followers, get some supers maybe. We'll get what we get out of it. Entertain my people. Have a spicy current topic. Not really that spicy, but I figured we'll cover it. Of course, the one of the talks we've had with the coffee chats was the post I put up yesterday about breaking down that 30-year-old dudes shouldn't be dating 18-year-old girls. Man, some dudes outed themselves in that one. What's that noise? That's my ceiling fan. It occasionally gets a little noisy up there. I don't know why. It's the ceiling fan. Is it too loud? No, I'm not going to bulk up. I don't think that I need to bulk up again. I care about my health. I'm trying to bulk up 10 pounds. It would be all fat. Sean Baptiste says, hi, coach. What's up? What's up, Sean? No, we don't need to bulk up 10 pounds. Like, why? gets my bench up, and then what? I'm at a heavier weight, not improving my relative strength, gaining fat. For what purpose? Now I probably need to continue to lose a little weight, get a little leaner, and let the bench land where it lands. Just build more muscle. Yeah, the Indian dude who failed that bench press. Are we still talking about that? I guess the new people are seeing it coming in, man. We've hopped over, hopefully, to more current events and questions and topics. All of a sudden it got hot. It's been cold. It's now 82 outside. I don't get it, man. Hold up. That's an important message. Who's the governor of Texas? The governor of Texas would be Greg Abbott. Right? Would be Greg Abbott, who said that after his quote, pretty much, he says, it looks like if New York elects a communist mayor, New York City, I don't like everything about Abbott. I do have some issues with him, but I still voted for him. But that being said, yeah, he did say that if that happens and a bunch of New Yorkers try to move to Texas, he's going to impose 100% tariff on them. That they don't need to come to Texas and ruin our state. They need to fix their own city. That's what our governor said this week. That is what he said. So he said he would probably put 100% tariff on them moving into the state. All right. That gives you an idea of Greg Abbott. My issue with him was the way he handled some of the lockdowns. It was problematic. Although he did stand up to Biden on the border quite a bit. He used the Texas National Guard trying to close down the border and gotten a tiff with Biden over it. Because we have a major problem there. Coach, will you give Mamdani lifting advice if he'll take it? I mean, I would still coach him. If he hires me to coach him, I'll be happy to get him stronger. I mean, I don't exclude people because of their politics. I don't discuss that topic at all. He's natural. He's a 440 bench weight, around 75 foot. No, I don't know who he is. But the thing is, a dude claiming they're natural while benching 440 at 175. I'm sorry. I just don't believe them by default. Right? Trill's calling for a big. So on that one's not a big enough one to find for a non-channel member to initiate a vote. But guys do ask that question because they know that it's a hot topic that YouTube is very strict about. They may not still be. They sent us the email during the initial invasion letting us know that certain things would get us unmonetized, our whole channel. So I generally avoid the whole topic. Yeah, he's most likely a fake natural like the rest of them. I mean, if you've heard of him, then that's already so Roland, you've heard of him. He's crazy strong and you've heard of him. A fitness influencer whose name you know is most likely a fake natural by default. That criteria is already a red flag. Fitness influencer who is popular enough that you know their name. Well, that's already a red flag if they're on gear. Because you guys don't care about real naturals. They don't generally impress you enough for you to know their names. Oh, Defiant coming in as a member, full of people who vote for anyone who promises free anything. Defiant Trill joined, became a channel member so he could initiate votes. So, hi, Defiant Trill wants a kapow on you. He's calling for a kapow over you bringing up one of the hot topics that YouTube's official policy is they will turn your monetization off over. All tiered partners got this email years ago, a few years back. We all got it. An email warning. So I assume all haters know this. Like that's the trick to get a channel unmonetized. Is to get them to say the name of those two countries and discuss it in detail and not pick YouTube's version. So Defiant has called for a kapow on you. Anybody want to vote? Defiant, I'm not going to do off of a single one with just a member. I'm going to see if other people, how they feel. Fair. But you at least are allowing, that's enough for us to initiate a vote. All right, guys. So anybody want to vote on high? Defiance be all bloodthirsty. Anybody want to vote? Jean gives a no kapow. Defiant does want a kapow, so for 1-1. Anybody pal or stay? Do genetics look like extreme relevant? What? You know. Well, so you can't tell their genetics looking. Those genetics for bodybuilding are only for insertions and stuff. They'll tell you anything about a person's strength or their muscle. Anybody else voting? So that's a tie at this point. Defiant, you can always try again later. Looks like the votes are low today. So, tier. Coach, do you believe in ghosts? Why do you guys keep asking that? I lean in the direction of a very strong probability of ghosts. I've seen a couple things in my life that look suspiciously, and I don't want to discuss those details because I don't want hate videos made about me discussing something like that. Does that make sense? Like, I don't need enough mockery, you know what I mean? And that would just be another example. Look how crazy and delusional Coach or Jason Blaha is. He thought he saw a ghost somewhere. You see what I mean? Like, just another mockery hate documentary out of that. But I lean in the direction of thinking they very well might be real. Yeah. Sorry, sinus is a little clogged up. So, guys, on to other topics. You help people. Why? So, but let's move on from that, John. We don't need to go into that any further. Main thing is, I feel like if I say anything like that, it could just be a problem. Hi, as I believe there's demonic animals in the forest of Russia. So, hi, are you Russian? I'm assuming because you're saying that statement. And the other question then. So see, Trill, he may not be being bad. He just may literally be asking because he might actually be Russian. This country's part of a conflict. Yeah. But that is a bait conflict. Yeah. What do you think of the new mayor? Do we need to go further into that? We already kind of covered. I don't know a lot about him other than he claims to be basically a communist and that he can't bench press. That's what I think about him. I don't know anything else. The guy's weak as hell. And he got exposed on camera being weak as hell. That's not a good look for a leader. Just saying. Because when you celebrate, you know, well. So you're talking about celebrating Christmas? Of course, you must celebrate Christmas. Diesel over, he'll trash New York City and they'll vote for someone further left. It was over the ass clown destiny, right? Okay. Yeah, no, definitely celebrate Christmas. Oh. How did we go further left than someone who describes himself as a democratic socialist? I think that's about as far as we can get down that rabbit hole. Does it? So here's my question, Diesel Viper. Does it go further than that? Hey, Coach, any powerlifting comps are similar you train for? What do you mean? I've done numerous powerlifting meets. I coach people for multiple strength sports. So what are we asking exactly? I got a pile of medals sitting right there that came up the other day. I got a big pile of medals. I threw some of them on for some of the streams. Yeah, it's going to get worse. Well, New York City's already turned into, a cesspool, unfortunately. What you going to do? You're training for future comps. So I have to answer this every single day. Okay? Every day, every live stream. So it's going to sound rehearsed. I will do powerlifting meets again in the future one day. However, I will not announce my prep for them, nor will I announce ahead of time that I am doing one, the when or the where. Okay, end quote. Okay. I've said this every day for 2.5 years, 7 days a week on camera. California, now New York, right? Of course I'll compete again. It's going to be private. I'm just not going to discuss it. We always surprise you guys with meets. I just go do the meets and I don't give warnings for the most part. Coach just shows up and breaks state records and you guys find out after. Let's see. Coach, who's your favorite? James Bond, Sean Connery. Time to take back your old records. I'm about to age out of it. Honestly, I'm going to be aging out of it probably by the time I'm ready to compete again. I only have a year in this age class. What's bad about, do we really need to have this conversation? Socialism leads to communism. Communism has the highest death toll of any ideology in modern or in all of history. Right? It even trumped Nazism, which says something, right? Because they were no slouch in the mass death department by any stretch of the imagination. Communism murdered 100 million people. That's what socialism leads to. I don't know what's bad about murdering 100 million people in endless breadlines. It's a failed system. Also, you're really going to trust government to do anything? Government is generally, and bureaucracy are generally incompetent. I think the government should do very, very little at this point. I'm a fan of smaller government in general. Daniel Craig. I didn't really catch Daniel Craig, but I grew up with Sean Connery. Yeah, the Libertarian Party is a joke, and that's the problem. We need open borders. We need illegal meth. Yeah, just stop. Right? Some of the few things we probably do need government for, they want to get rid of. It's like, just stop. Some of the few things the government gets right, they want to get rid of. And they'll make the argument for why it's a good thing. It's like, no, dude, it's not. I don't know. You don't know what socialism is. Well, you're going to have to go research that. Socialism is largely when government takes over and controls the economic systems directly, redistribution of wealth, government funded programs to do things that we would normally have businesses for. So socialism is, there's degrees of socialism, obviously. Not all socialism is bad. You want to use government for some things, but it needs to be limited in scope. All right. Should be limited in scope. Yeah, communism means no private property, right? No private property, no private business. The government owns everything. The state owns everything at that point. How long do you think you'll live? Many of my relatives, I don't know how long I'm going to live, Ezekiel. I don't have any idea. I like my government middle-sized, right? Yeah, see, that's fair. My government more middle-sized, you know. We ask God to give Coach a long life. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate those prayers. Right? Maybe he will grant me a longer life. We'll see. What's with this slow stream this afternoon? Probably doing too many of them. I'm going to need to do tomorrow. I probably just need to run a really long afternoon stream. And I think that'll be the way to go. I don't want to run this one long because I got to do a client call this afternoon, this evening. So I want to be somewhat rested for that. But it didn't look like we got any supers in here. I might wind this one down though and give you guys a bicep shot there before we go. Oh, Mount Bicephalus. And we're out.